Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of his ship. He looked calm, but his heart was beating fast. The USS Liberty looked like a simple cargo ship from the outside. Old metal plates covered the hull. Rust stains marked the sides. Anyone looking at it would think it was just another human trade vessel carrying food and mining tools to the outer colonies. But they would be wrong. Jake watched the main screen as 3 Empire patrol ships moved closer. Their black hulls gleamed in the starlight. Red symbols marked them as official Empire vessels. These aliens had ruled the galaxy for over 200 years. They thought humans were useful but weak. That was exactly what Jake wanted them to think. Empire ships are asking permission to board us, said Lisa Brooks. She stood at the communications station, wearing a simple gray uniform. Her voice was steady, but Jake could see her hands shake just a little. Lisa was really a commander in the human defense fleet, but today she was pretending to be a cargo ship officer. Tell them yes, Jake said. We have nothing to hide. Lisa sent the message. The Empire ships came closer. Jake could see the docking tube reaching out from the lead ship. Soon alien soldiers would walk through his corridors. They would scan everything with their devices. They would look for weapons or military equipment. They would find mining tools and food supplies, just like the ship's papers said. The main door opened with a hiss. 3 tall aliens walked in. Their gray skin looked like leather. Yellow eyes scanned everything. The leader wore a black uniform with silver marks on his chest. His name was Commander Vex, according to the files Jake had read. I am Commander Vex of the Empire Patrol Fleet, the alien said in perfect English. We must inspect your cargo. Of course, Jake said with a smile. I am Captain Morrison. This is my cargo officer, Lisa Brooks. We carry mining equipment for the colonies. Everything is in our manifest. Commander Vex looked at Jake for a long moment. His yellow eyes seemed to see everything. There have been reports of human ships carrying illegal weapons. We must check all vessels. Jake nodded. We understand. Please look anywhere you want. The aliens walked through the ship with their scanning devices. Jake followed them, acting like a normal cargo captain who had nothing to worry about. But inside, he was thinking about what was really hidden on his ship dock below them. Covered by false walls and energy shields was the largest warship humanity had ever built. The Liberty was not a cargo ship. It was a supercarrier that could launch 200 fighter planes. Its weapons could destroy an entire fleet. Its armor could stop anything the Empire had. But the aliens would never see any of that. Kyle Adams was working at a control station when the aliens walked into the engine room. He was young, maybe 25 years old. This was his first mission. On the Liberty, his job was to keep the disguise systems running while the aliens looked around. Kyle watched his screens carefully. The power readings had to look normal. The engine sounds had to match a simple cargo ship. Everything had to be perfect. Commander Vex pointed his scanner at the main engine. This engine is very old, he said. Yes, Jake agreed, but it still works. We humans know how to fix old things. The alien made a sound that might have been laugh. Humans are good at making do with less. Kyle's hand moved over his controls. He had to adjust the fake readings as the alien scanned different parts of the engine. Sweat ran down his face. One mistake would reveal everything. Then it happened. Kyle accidentally touched the wrong button. For just 1 second, the ship's reel. Power signature showed on the alien scanners. The Liberty suddenly appeared to be 3 times bigger than it looked. Energy readings spiked to levels that could only come from military systems. The aliens stopped walking. Commander Vex looked at his scanner with confusion. The device made beeping sounds as it tried to understand what it had detected. What was that? Commander Vex asked. Kyle's face went white. He quickly pressed the right buttons to fix the disguise. The readings went back to normal. "Sorry," he said. "I was running a diagnostic on the engine. Sometimes it makes the sensors act strange." Commander Vex stared at his device for a long moment. The scanner showed normal readings again. Just an old cargo ship with a simple engine. He looked around. The engine room one more time. "Your equipment needs better maintenance," he told Jake. "We will fix it at the next port," Jake promised. The aliens finished their inspection an hour later. They found exactly what they expected to find. Mining drills, food containers, spare parts for colony equipment. Nothing that looked like weapons or military gear. Commander Vex stood in front of Jake before leaving. "Your papers are in order, Captain Morrison. You may continue to the outer colonies." "Thank you, Commander," Jake said with a smile. The aliens walked back to their ship. The docking tube pulled away. The Empire vessels moved off to continue their patrol. Jake and his crew watched them go on the main screen. When the Empire ships were far away, Jake finally let himself relax. He sat down in his captain's chair and took a deep breath. "That was too close," Lisa said. She was not pretending to be a simple cargo officer anymore. Her voice sounded like the military commander she really was. "Kyle did well," Jake said. "Quick thinking saved us." Admiral Ryan Clark stepped out of a hidden door behind the bridge. He was the real commander of this mission. His job was to stay hidden while the Empire was on board. "We cannot make mistakes like that again," he said. "Next time they might not believe our story." Jake nodded. The disguise systems worked perfectly, except for that one moment. "We just need to be more careful." The Liberty continued on its path toward the outer colonies. To any watching ship, it still looked like a simple cargo vessel. But inside, hundreds of people worked at stations that controlled the most powerful warship in human space. Soon, they would get their first real test. And the galaxy would learn that humans were much more dangerous than anyone had imagined. 3 days later, Jake was eating breakfast in his cabin when the emergency alarm started beeping. He ran to the bridge as fast as he could. Lisa was already there, looking at the main screen with worry on her face. "What is happening?" Jake asked. "We got a distress call from New Haven Colony," Lisa said. "They are under attack." Jake looked at the screen. It showed a star map with the colony marked in red. New Haven was home to 50,000 people. Farmers, miners, and their families lived. They're in peace. They had no weapons to protect themselves. "Who is attacking them?" Jake asked. "Krex Raiders," said Steve Parker from his station. He was the ship's tactical officer. 12 ships. They are demanding the colony give them all their food and metal, or they will start killing people. Jake felt anger rise in his chest. The Krex were pirates who attacked weak colonies. They stole everything they could and sometimes killed people for fun. The Empire was supposed to stop them, but Empire ships never seemed to be around when the Krex attacked. "How long until we reach New Haven?" Jake asked. 6 hours at full speed," Steve answered. Amy Rodriguez walked onto the bridge. She was a colonel in the Human Defense Fleet, but she was pretending to be the ship's security chief. "We have to help them," she said. 50,000 people will die if we do nothing." Ben Carter shook his head. He was the ship's chief engineer. "If we use our real weapons, the Empire will know what we are. Our mission will be over." Jake understood the problem. The Liberty was supposed to stay hidden. Its job was to watch Empire movements and gather information. If they revealed their true power, every Empire ship in the galaxy would hunt them. But 50,000 people were going to die. "Can we help them using only our fake weapons?" Jake asked. Ben thought for a moment. "The Liberty is supposed to have basic cargo ship defenses, 2 small laser cannons and some armor. We could fight with just those systems." 2 small lasers against 12 raider ships? Amy said. That is suicide. We have to try, Jake said. Set course for New Haven. Send a message to the raiders. Tell them to leave the colony alone. The Liberty changed direction and moved toward New Haven at full speed. To anyone watching, it would look like a brave but foolish cargo captain trying to save a colony with a weak ship. 4 hours later, New Haven appeared on their screens. The colony sat on a brown planet with 2 small moons. Jake could see the town from space. White buildings sat in neat rows near green farms. Smoke was rising from several places where the raiders had already started attacking. The 12 Krek ships hung in space above the colony like hungry wolves. Each ship was twice the size of what the Liberty appeared to be. Their hulls were covered with spikes and weapon knots. Red paint marked them as raiders. This is Captain Morrison of the cargo ship Liberty, Jake said over the radio. Leave this colony alone. These people have done nothing to you. Rough laughter came back over the radio. Stupid human, said a voice that sounded like broken glass. Go away, or we will kill you too. I cannot do that, Jake said. Then you will die with them. 3 of the raider ships turned toward the Liberty. Their weapons started glowing red as they prepared to fire. Jake sat in his captain's chair and tried to look calm. His crew was doing the same. They all knew this was going to be very dangerous. The raiders opened fire. Red laser beams shot across space toward the Liberty. The ship shook as the beams hit its fake armor. Warning lights flashed on the bridge. Return fire, Jake ordered. Liberty's 2 small laser cannons shot back. The beams looked weak compared to the raider weapons. They hit one of the Krek ships, but did not seem to hurt it much. The battle continued for 20 minutes. The Liberty dodged and weaved between the raider ships, trying to avoid their heavy weapons. Its small lasers kept firing, but they were not doing much damage. Jake was starting to think they would have to reveal their real weapons when something else appeared on the sensors. Empire ships jumping in, Steve reported. 5 vessels, heavy, cruiser class. Jake felt his heart sink. Empire ships were supposed to help defend colonies, but their timing was very suspicious. Why were they showing up now, just when the Liberty was fighting? The Empire ships moved into position around the battle. Their leader was a big warship called the Dominion's Pride. Admiral Vex commanded that ship. Jake had heard of him. He was smart and suspicious of humans. This is Admiral Vex of the Empire Fleet, came a voice over the radio. All ships will cease fire and prepare for inspection. The raider ships stopped shooting and moved away from the Liberty. They did not try to run. That was strange. Pirates usually ran when Empire ships showed up. Jake realized what was happening. This was a trap. They set us up, he said quietly to Lisa. The Empire wants to see how we fight. Lisa nodded. They have been watching human ships. They know we are hiding something. Admiral Vex's voice came over the radio again. Captain Morrison, your ship showed unusual energy readings during the battle. Prepare to be boarded for a full inspection. Jake looked around his bridge. His crew was waiting for orders. Amy had her hand near the controls that would drop their disguise and activate their real weapons. Ben was ready to bring the main engines online. Steve had targeting solutions for all the Empire ships. They could win this fight easily if they used their true power. The Liberty could destroy every ship here in minutes. But then the secret would be out. Every human ship in space would be hunted. The colonies would be at war with the Empire. On the screen, Jake could see New Haven Colony below them. Smoke was still rising from the buildings the raiders had hit. People were probably dying right now while he sat here trying to decide what to do. Sir, Amy said quietly, the raiders are moving toward the colony again. They are going to attack while we talk to the Empire. Jake watched the Krek ships move closer to the planet. Their weapons were charging up. In a few minutes, they would start bombing the towns. Thousands of people would die. The Empire ships did nothing to stop them. Admiral Vex was more interested in inspecting the Liberty than saving the colony. Jake made his decision. "Amy," he said, "drop the disguise." Amy's hands moved over her controls. "Are you sure, sir?" "Do it. We cannot let those people die." Amy pressed the buttons that would change everything. Warning lights started flashing all over the ship as the disguise systems shut down. On every screen in the Empire fleet, the Liberty suddenly tripled in size. What had looked like a small cargo ship was now revealed as a massive warship. Gun ports opened along its hull. Fighter bay doors slid apart. Energy readings spiked to levels that should have been impossible for a human vessel. Admiral Vex's voice came over the radio, full of shock. "What is that thing?" Jake stood up from his captain's chair. When he spoke, his voice was calm and strong. "This is Admiral Jake Morrison of the Human Defense Fleet. You are looking at the USS Liberty, and we are here to protect this colony." The Liberty had dropped its mask. Now the galaxy would see what humans could really build. And the Empire was about to learn that they had badly underestimated the species they thought they knew. The USS Liberty hung in space like a metal mountain. Its true size was amazing. The ship was over 2 miles long, with a hull that gleamed silver and blue. Weapon ports covered every surface. The flight deck could hold an entire city. "Admiral." Vex stared at his screens in shock. His sensors were going crazy trying to understand what they were seeing. The energy readings from the human ship were off the charts. This was not possible. Humans were supposed to be a weak species with simple technology. "All ships, target the human vessel," Admiral Vex ordered. But his voice sounded uncertain. Jake smiled as he heard the Empire Admiral's words. "Kate, launch all fighters. Ben, bring all weapons online." Major Kate Sullivan was already running toward the flight deck. She had been waiting for this moment for months. Her F-47 Raptor fighter was the most advanced spacecraft humanity had ever built. It had shields, plasma cannons, and engines that could outrun anything in the Empire fleet. The Liberty's launch bays opened with a roar. Hundreds of fighters poured out like angry bees from a hive. They moved in perfect formation, their blue, engines leaving trails of light across the darkness of space. The Krex raiders were the first to react. They turned their ships toward the Liberty and opened fire with everything they had. Red laser beams and missile trails filled the space between the ships, but the beams just bounced off the Liberty's shields. The missiles exploded harmlessly against the energy barriers. The human ship kept moving forward like nothing had happened. "Return fire," Jake ordered. The Liberty's weapons revealed themselves. What had looked like cargo containers along the hull opened up to show massive plasma cannons. Each gun was bigger than most Empire weapons. When they fired, the space around the ship lit up like a blue sun. The first raider ship exploded instantly. The plasma beam went right through its shields and armor like they were made of paper. Pieces of burning metal scattered in all directions. Kate led her fighter squadron against the remaining raiders. The F-47 Raptors moved like nothing the aliens had ever seen. They twisted and turned through space, dodging enemy fire while shooting back with deadly accuracy. "This is impossible," one of the raider captains said over the radio. "Human ships do not have this kind of power." A Raptor fighter flew past his bridge window and fired 2 plasma bolts into his engine room. The raider ship started spinning out of control as explosions ripped through its hull. On the Empire flagship, Admiral Vex watched the battle with growing horror. The human fighters were destroying raider ships one by one. His own vessels were not even being attacked, but he could see that they would not last long if the humans decided to fight them too. "Admiral," his tactical officer said with fear in his voice. "The human ship has locked weapons onto us." Jake's voice came over the radio. "Admiral Vex, order your ships to stand down. We have no fight with the Empire today, but we will protect this colony." Vex looked at his screens. 3 raider ships were already destroyed. His own 5 ships were powerful, but the human vessel was unlike anything he had ever seen. Its weapons could probably destroy his entire fleet. "All Empire ships, hold position," he ordered. "Do not fire unless fired upon." The battle between the humans and raiders continued. It was not really a battle anymore. It was target practice. The Liberty's point defense guns shot down raider missiles before they could even get close. The human fighters moved too fast for. The enemy guns to track. Amy Rodriguez was coordinating the rescue of people from the colony below. The Liberty's transport ships were already flying down to the planet to pick up wounded civilians. Each transport was protected by its own shields and could carry hundreds of people. "We have medical teams ready in Bay 7, Amy reported. "The colony's main hospital was hit, but we can treat everyone on our medical deck." Jake nodded. "The Liberty had a full hospital inside it, with equipment that was better than anything on most planets. Dr. Carol Price and her team were already preparing to receive patients. One by one, the raider ships fell. Kate's fighters worked together like a deadly dance. They would surround an enemy ship, hit it from all sides, and move on to the next target. The raiders tried to run, but the human fighters were too fast. The last raider captain sent out a desperate message: 'We surrender. Do not destroy us.' Kate's voice came over the radio. Too late for that. You should have thought about surrender before you attacked innocent people. Her fighter fired one final shot. The last raider ship exploded in a ball of fire, and metal. The space around New Haven was quiet again. Pieces of destroyed ships drifted past the Liberty like snow. The human fighters returned to their carrier, landing in the huge flight bays. With practiced skill. Admiral Vex sat in his command chair, staring at the human ship. Everything he thought he knew about humans was wrong. They were not a weak species that needed Empire protection. They were dangerous. "Sir," his communications officer said, "we are receiving data from the human ship. Medical information about the colony survivors." Jake was sharing the casualty reports with the Empire fleet. It was a gesture of good faith, showing that the humans were not interested in fighting the Empire if they did not have to. But Vex knew this changed everything. If humans had one ship like this, they probably had more. How many? Where were they? What else were the humans hiding? "Send a message to Empire Command," Vex ordered. "Priority 1. Tell them we have discovered that human military technology is far more advanced than we believed." Ben Carter was working at his engineering station, making sure all systems were running correctly after the battle. The Liberty had not even been scratched. Its shields had stopped every enemy attack without any trouble. "All systems green," he reported. "We used less than 10% of our total firepower." Jake smiled. The Empire had just seen what humans could do, and they had only seen a small taste of it. The Liberty was powerful, but it was not the only ship like it. 3 more supercarriers were hidden in different parts of the galaxy, waiting for their time to reveal themselves. Lisa was monitoring communications from across the galaxy. News of the battle was already spreading. Every Empire ship that heard the reports was asking the same questions. How many ships like this did the humans have? What other technology were they hiding? "Colony evacuation is complete," Amy reported. "All civilians are safe aboard our ships. We can treat their wounded and relocate them to safer worlds." Jake stood up and walked to the main screen. He could see Admiral Vex's flagship in the distance. The Empire Admiral was probably sending reports to his superiors right now. Soon, every leader in the Empire would know about the Liberty. The secret was out. Humanity could not hide anymore. But maybe that was for the best. They had spent too long pretending to be weak while building up their strength in secret. Now it was time to show the galaxy who they really were. "Open a channel to Admiral Vex," Jake ordered. The Empire Admiral's face appeared on the screen. He looked older than he had an hour ago. His yellow eyes were full of questions and fear. "Admiral Vex," Jake said. "I think we need to talk." The news spread across the galaxy like fire. Every Empire communication station buzzed with reports about the human supercarrier. Ships in every system received the same impossible message. Humans had technology that could match the Empire's best warships. On the Empire capital world of Nexus Prime, Emperor Valdris sat in his crystal throne room reading Admiral Vex's report. The Emperor was old, even for his long-lived species. He had ruled the galaxy for over a century and thought. He understood all the threats to his power, but this was something new. "Show me the recordings again." He ordered. The wall screens lit up with images from the battle at New Haven. The Emperor watched the Liberty shed its disguise and reveal its true size. He saw human fighters moving faster than Empire ships. He watched plasma cannons destroy raider vessels with single shots. "How many ships like this do they have?" the Emperor asked. Dr. Nexus Prime stood beside the throne. He was the Empire's top scientist, the smartest being in the galaxy, according to most people. But even he looked confused as he studied the data. "The energy output alone should be impossible," Dr. Prime said. "Their power systems are more advanced than anything we have seen. If they built one ship like this, they could build more." The Emperor's claws tapped against his throne. "Find out everything about human technology. I want to know what else they are hiding." Meanwhile, on Earth, General Patricia Hayes was having her own emergency meeting. She sat in a deep underground room beneath the Rocky Mountains. Around the sea table were the leaders of the Human Defense Initiative, the secret organization that had built the Liberty and her sister ships. "The secret is out," General Hayes said. "Every Empire ship in the galaxy is now looking for more vessels like the Liberty." Captain Jake Morrison sat across from her. He had been called back to Earth as soon as the news reached home. His mission was supposed to last another 6 months, but everything had changed. "We had to act," Jake said. 50,000 people were going to die. "I am not questioning your decision," the general replied. "You saved lives and showed the galaxy what we can do, but now we must decide what happens next." Colonel Rodriguez spoke up from her seat. "The other supercarriers are reporting increased Empire patrols in their areas. The USS Freedom had to avoid 3 inspection attempts yesterday." General Hayes nodded. The Freedom, Guardian, and Defender were still hiding in different parts of the galaxy. Each ship was disguised as a simple cargo or passenger vessel. But now the Empire was looking for them with new sensors and better search patterns. "How long before they find the others?" Jake asked. "Maybe days, maybe weeks," said Admiral Clark. "The Empire is not stupid. They will figure out our disguise technology eventually." The general stood up and walked to a large star map on the wall. Red dots marked Empire worlds. Blue dots showed human colonies. There were far more red dots than blue ones. "For 50 years, we have built our strength in secret," she said. "We let the Empire think we were weak while we developed weapons and ships they could never imagine. The question now is, do we reveal everything, or do we try to keep hiding?" Jake looked at the map. He thought about the Liberty and its crew. They were good people who believed in protecting human colonies and keeping peace in the galaxy. But they were also soldiers, ready to fight if they had to. "The Empire respects strength," he said. "They have always treated us like children because they thought we were weak. Maybe it is time to show them we are not." Dr. Carol Price spoke from her seat at the table. She had been the Liberty's chief medical officer, but she was also one of the designers of human shield technology. Our technology is not just about weapons, she said. We have medical advances that could help every species in the galaxy. Agricultural systems that could end hunger on 100 worlds. But the Empire has never listened to our ideas because they think we are primitive. General Hayes turned back to the group. I have been in contact with the other Supercarrier commanders. They are ready to drop their disguises if we give the order. Jake smiled. What would the Empire think if 4 supercarriers suddenly appeared? In different parts of the galaxy? They would realize that humanity is not the weak species they thought we were, Admiral Clark said. They would have to treat us as equals. The meeting continued for hours. They talked about the risks and benefits of revealing their full strength. Some people wanted to stay hidden longer. Others thought it was time to step into the light. Finally, General Hayes made her decision. Send the signal to all ships, she ordered. Operation Daybreak is now in effect. All supercarriers will reveal themselves within 24 hours. Across the galaxy, coded messages reached the hidden human ships. Captain Tony Mitchell commanded the USS Freedom near the Empire trade routes. Captain Sarah Davis led the USS Guardian in the Outer Rim systems. Captain Mark Johnson ran the USS Defender close to the Empire military bases. Each captain received the same orders. Drop your disguise and let the galaxy see what humanity has built. The Freedom was the first to reveal itself. It happened during a routine cargo inspection near the Empire world of Centros. The ship had been disguised as a passenger liner carrying colonists to a new world. When the Empire inspectors came aboard, Captain Mitchell activated the reveal sequence. The false walls fell away. The passenger cabins opened to show fighter bays. The simple engine room became a massive power plant that could fuel a small city. The Empire inspection team stood in shock as they realized they were on board a warship that could destroy their entire patrol fleet. 6 hours later, the Guardian dropped its disguise near an Empire mining world. It had been pretending to be a mining ship itself, but suddenly it became a carrier full of fighters and weapons. The Defender revealed itself last, right in the middle of an Empire fleet exercise. 20 Empire warships were practicing battle. Formations when the human vessels shed its cargo ship appearance and became a supercarrier that dwarfed them all. Emperor Valdris received all the reports within a day. 4 human supercarriers. 4 ships with technology that matched or exceeded anything the Empire had. And if there were 4, there might be more. They have been playing a long game, Dr. Prime said as he analyzed the data. While we thought they were struggling to build basic starships, they were developing advanced military technology in secret. The Emperor stood up from his throne and walked to the great window that looked out over his capital city. Millions of beings lived below, all of them believing that the Empire was the strongest force in the galaxy. But maybe that was no longer true. Prepare my personal ship, the Emperor ordered. It is time I met with the human leaders myself. On Earth, General Hayes received word that the Emperor was coming. It would be the first time in human history that the ruler of the galaxy had visited their world as an equal. Jake stood on the observation deck of the Liberty, now orbiting Earth without any disguise. The ship's true form was beautiful in the sunlight. Silver and blue metal gleamed against the black of space. Other ships were gathering around. Earth. Human vessels that had been hiding throughout the galaxy were coming home. Not just the supercarriers, but cruisers, destroyers, and support ships that had all been disguised as civilian vessels. The human fleet was finally showing itself to the galaxy, and the galaxy was watching with fear, respect, and wonder. The age of hiding was over. Now came the hard part, deciding what kind of future humanity would build with their newfound power. Emperor Valdris had never seen anything like Earth before. His golden ship approached the blue and green world where humans came from. Hundreds of human warships filled the space around the planet. Each one was a reminder that everything had changed. The Emperor's ship was escorted by 6 human fighters. The small craft moved with perfect precision, their pilots showing respect but also strength. These were not the weak humans he had known about for decades. Jake Morrison, now promoted to Admiral, stood on the bridge of the Liberty as it led the escort formation. He wore his best uniform, with the new insignia of the Human Defense Fleet on his chest. Behind him, his crew worked at stations that controlled weapons powerful enough to threaten the Emperor's flagship. But today was not about showing weapons. It was about making peace. The Emperor's ship docked with the Liberty in a ceremony broadcast across the galaxy. When Emperor Valdris stepped onto the human vessel, he was amazed by what he saw. The corridors were wide and clean. The technology was as advanced as anything on Empire worlds. The crew moved with the confidence of people who knew they served on one of the most powerful ships in space. That Admiral Morrison met the Emperor in the main conference room. The walls showed views of Earth below them. Cities sparkled like jewels on the night side of the planet. Space elevators reached up from the surface like silver threads. "Welcome aboard the USS Liberty, Your Majesty," Jake said with a respectful bow. Emperor Valdris looked around the room with his golden eyes. "I admit, Admiral Morrison, your people have surprised us all." General Hayes joined them from Earth via communication link. Her face appeared on the main screen, along with other human leaders from around the galaxy. This was the first time in history that the Emperor had spoken directly with human leadership as equals. "Your Majesty," General Hayes said, "we have much to discuss." The Emperor sat down across from Admiral Morrison. "Indeed we do. My scientists tell me your technology rivals our own. My military advisors say your ships could threaten any Empire fleet. Yet for 50 years, you pretended to be a weak species that needed our protection." Jake chose his words carefully. "We were not ready to be equals in the galaxy. We needed time to develop and grow. The Empire has always been protective of its position of power." "You mean we would not have welcomed the rival?" the Emperor said, with something that might have been a smile. "Would you have?" General Hayes asked from the screen. The Emperor was quiet for a moment. He thought about the many species the Empire had conquered or absorbed over the centuries. Most of them had become part of the Empire peacefully, accepting their place in the galactic order. But humans had chosen a different path. They had built their strength in secret, waiting until they were strong enough to demand respect rather than ask for it. "Perhaps not," the Emperor admitted. "But deception is a dangerous game. What if we had discovered your ships earlier? What if we had seen them as a threat?" Admiral Morrison leaned forward. "That was always the risk. But we believed that showing strength from a position of equality was better than revealing weakness and hoping for mercy." Dr. Carl Price spoke from her seat beside Jake. "Your Majesty, our technology is not just about war. We have made advances in medicine, agriculture, and energy production that could benefit every world in the Empire." She activated a holographic display that showed human innovations. Medical devices that could regrow lost limbs. Farming systems that could turn desert worlds into gardens. Power plants that produced clean energy for centuries. We never shared this technology because the Empire always treated our scientists as students rather than colleagues. Doctor, Price continued, "We want to change that." Emperor Valdris studied the displays with interest. The Empire was powerful, but it had grown comfortable with its technology. Innovation had slowed over the past century. Fresh ideas from human minds could benefit everyone. "What do you propose?" he asked. General Hayes spoke from the screen. "Full membership in the Galactic Council. Human colonies granted the same rights as Empire worlds. joint research projects between our species, and an end to the pretense that humans are a lesser people. In return, the human defense fleet will work with Empire forces to protect the galaxy, Admiral Morrison said. Our ships will help defend against raiders, pirates, and any external threats. We will share our medical technology to help wounded soldiers. Our agricultural advances can feed hungry worlds. The Emperor looked out at Earth through the conference room windows. The planet was beautiful, but it was also clearly defended. Orbital stations and weapon platforms surrounded the world. Human ships patrolled in perfect formations. This was not a weak species begging for protection. This was a strong people offering partnership. There will be those in the Empire who resist this change, the Emperor warned. Many of my admirals believe humans should remain in their current position. There will be humans who prefer isolation to cooperation, General Hayes replied. Change is never easy, but the galaxy is becoming more dangerous. The Krex raiders we fought at New Haven are just one threat. There are others beyond our borders that neither humans nor the Empire can face alone. Emperor Valdus nodded. Intelligence reports had been reaching him about strange ships seen at the edge of the galaxy. Unknown species with technology that might rival both human and Empire capabilities. The galaxy was about to become a more crowded and dangerous place. Very well, the Emperor said. I propose we sign a formal treaty. The Treaty of Terra Nova, establishing humanity as a full member of the galactic community. Admiral Morrison stood up and extended his hand to the Emperor. It was a human gesture, but one that had spread throughout the galaxy as a sign of agreement between equals. The Emperor stood and took Jake's hand in his own scaled grip. To a new future. The treaty negotiations took 3 days. Representatives from both sides worked out the details of the new relationship. Human colonies would get self-government rights. The human defense fleet would coordinate with Empire forces. Technology sharing agreements would benefit both species. Most importantly, humans would get seats on the Galactic Council, with voting rights equal to the Empire's oldest member worlds. When the treaty was signed, it happened aboard the Liberty with representatives from both species watching. Admiral Morrison signed for humanity, while Emperor Valdris signed for the Empire. The ceremony was broadcast to every world in the galaxy. Jake stood on the bridge of the Liberty after the Emperor's ship had departed. Lisa Brooks worked beside him, no longer pretending to be a simple cargo officer. She wore the uniform of a human defense fleet commander with pride. It is hard to believe it is over, she said. It is not over, Jake replied. It is just beginning. He was right. News of the treaty was already causing changes throughout the galaxy. Some Empire worlds welcomed their new human partners. Others worried about what this shift in power would mean. On the human side, colonies that had lived in fear of raiders now knew they had powerful protectors. Children who had grown up thinking humans were weak learned. They belonged to a species that could stand among the stars as equals. 6 months. Later, Admiral Morrison stood on the observation deck of the new Terra Nova station. The massive space station orbited Earth and served as headquarters for the combined human Empire fleet. Through the windows, he could see something that would have been impossible a year ago. Human and Empire ships worked together on patrol missions. Mixed crews served on vessels that protected colonies of both species. The USS Liberty was docked nearby, no longer hiding its true nature. Its hull gleamed with fresh paint, showing both human and Empire symbols. The ship that had started the revolution was now a symbol of cooperation. Construction had already begun on humanity's first public military shipyard at Alpha Centauri. The new vessels being built that would carry crews from multiple species. They would defend a galaxy where humans and the Empire worked together instead of pretending one served the other. Kate Sullivan, now a wing commander, led a mixed squadron of human and Empire fighters on their daily patrol. The pilots had learned to work together, despite their different flying styles and technologies. Ben Carter had been promoted to chief engineer of the entire Terra Nova project. He worked with Empire scientists to develop new technologies that combined the best of both species' innovations. Amy Rodriguez commanded the station's security forces, which included soldiers from a dozen different worlds. The old days of human isolation were truly over. As Admiral Morrison watched the ships move past his window, he thought about how much had changed. A year ago, humans had hidden in the shadows, pretending to be weak while secretly building strength. Now they stood in the light as equals, partners in protecting and improving the galaxy. The deception was over. The future had begun. And among the stars, both humans and their former rulers were learning that the galaxy was big enough for more than one powerful species to call it home.